everyone, and welcome back to my stream. Do I have audio? Yes, I do. All right, sweet. So today I'm going to do what might be the last Jamstack stream for a little while. We're going to continue on what I was working on last week. So last week we did a live stream where we set up a Hugo site from scratch. So just bare bones, pulled down Hugo, built it, and started this new website. It took in a couple themes and we kind of played around with it. And then on the next stream, we started to build a theme from scratch. So today I'm going to continue on to that. We're going to continue building on this theme. It's just going to be a kind of a very simple, it's almost ugly, but just kind of going in and putting in this custom theme, and maybe we'll add in some different content and things like that. I'm going to take this and actually deploy it at some point. So I don't know if I'm going to deploy it looking ugly like this, but I'm going to deploy it at some point. But the whole purpose of this is just to show you how to start a Hugo site from scratch. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go back to our theme. And I don't even remember where I left off. Now, one of the things here is I haven't touched this code. I just opened it up a few minutes ago. I haven't touched this code since we worked on it last week, so I've got to kind of figure out where we're at. Let's do a Hugo serve. Let's open up a web browser for it. And here's where we left off. Now here's something you will notice. You'll notice some caching things. Notice there was a different theme that came up. And then we kind of refreshed and it rebuilt. I've noticed that Hugo does that a lot. I don't know exactly what the fix is for that, but usually all it takes is just a refresh or a hard refresh. It never does that on a server. So once you've deployed it out to a static site, it never does that. However, sometimes with the Hugo serve on your local desktop, it does do that. So make sure everything's good here. I'm going to jump right in. So looking at this, the index is taken care of. We've got the menus here that we built. We have this really ugly header that we built. Nothing to write home about, but it works. And then if we click in here, I believe this is blank still. Yeah, this is still pretty blank. So we're going to have to flesh out some of these pages. Like if we go here to C#, we get nothing at all. So let's find out why. First, let's go to the Entity Framework tutorial. Now we know this has content in it. When we go back to our project here, C#, Entity Framework, I'm a liar. It doesn't have any content. So let's throw some Lipsum in there. Lipsum.com. Generate like 5 paragraphs. Looks good. Let's see, go to Unsplash. And we'll look for data. I don't know. Yeah, this could be cool. Small. We're going to drop this bad boy into our repo. jeremymorgan.tech. We're going to go into static. Let's create a new folder. This is something that I actually haven't done yet. I haven't shown how to include images in this thing. Images, and we're just going to call this data.jpg. And we'll add this in. Now, when you drop in new files like images, style sheets, JavaScript, all that, it says, and it just kind of kills it. Not a big deal. You can just restart it. But I do need to include that data.jpg into this article. So we'll do that really quick. We'll put it right here in the beginning. Markdown is one of the easiest languages ever. Data image, we'll call it. We'll say images, Data.jpg. And save it. And there it is. So as you look at Markdown, it's super easy. I could do a quick 2-minute Markdown tutorial. And this is one of the easiest things in the world. So with our Markdown, you can see we have plain text. And that comes up on our page as, not surprisingly, plain text. So what if I want some of it to be bold? That's italic. I need one more to make it bold. Just do 2 little asterisks on each side. And look at that, it's bold. And italic, as you already saw, is 1. So we could make this whole thing italic just by doing this. And this is one of the reasons that I use Atom as an editor to edit my Markdown files. My favorite Markdown editor ever is Markdown Monster, but it only runs in Windows, and I'm hardly ever in Windows these days. I'm almost always on Mac or Linux. So in Mac and Linux, I use Atom. In Windows, I use Markdown Monster. But as you can see in the Atom editor, I mean, this looks pretty good. Got bold here. So there's headlines. H1, H2, we could say this is an H1. Whoops. And unfortunately, Atom turned that into code. Let's copy this. This is an H2. This is an H3. And of course, this is an H4. So let's save this and see what it looks like. There we go. So super easy to format this kind of stuff. I love Markdown. Once you get really good at Markdown, you will get fast. I mean, just absolutely fast at stuff like this. And we can do code, 3 backticks, FMT, and I think I showed this before, but this is what code looks like. Just 3 backticks. Formats it as code. Now, if you want it to be formatted fancier, specific to a language, most of the time you do. Just put a little go in here. There we go. That's formatted Go, which doesn't make sense for any framework tutorial, but that's okay. You can do things like unordered lists. Super fast and easy. Let me list all the things that I think are cool about Hugo. Probably not even spelling customizable right, but that's okay. And there we go, a little list. And then you can take and you can format within those list items, which is something I do a lot in articles. So I'll say fast. Let's see. Hugo generates static HTML files. Fast. I can say easy. You can have a site up in minutes. And then customizable. This is just one of the formats that I like to use. Come on, articles. Customizable. Make it whatever you want. Look at that. Doesn't that look cool? It's all generated with very little actual coding involved with it. Now, of course, you can get fancy if you'd like to, but for the most part, that's Markdown. Headlines, unordered lists, quotes, should say that. Let's pull this out of here. Quotes. Markdown is pretty much the standard, right? Like for static site generators, things like that. And I can see that because of my style sheet, I'm not treating quotes any differently. But when you start digging around in the HTML, you can see that it's surrounded by a block quote. So as soon as I put in a block quote class, that'll actually do something. Let's do that really quick. Jump in here to our assets, CSS. And I believe styles, not CSS. I don't remember where I put my CSS. I believe I dumped it in the theme. I did. There we go. Style.css. That's what I was looking for. Theme specific. Block quote. Font weight. Bold. I don't remember if I have to do block quote. Yeah, just block quote. So we'll indent it, if I remember how to do that. Text indent. 10. I don't even know what the values are for text indent. Now I think about it. It's been so long since I've used it. So let's Google it. Text indent CSS. See what that indent property looks for. Oh, pixels, it looks like. You can do pixels, EM, or percentage. 50 pixels should be fine. We'll make it font style italic. We'll make the background color some weird kind of gray, maybe. Go back to that HTML color picker. Maybe I want it right there, a bunch of 45s. This is how easy it is to just customize things like crazy with Hugo. Maybe we'll just border 1 pick solid, and we'll do a little bit darker gray than that. Because the background color, oh, the background color I made too dark already, I can tell. Actually, I wanted the background color to just be slightly gray. We'll make the border actually there we go. And there it's doing that caching thing again, where sometimes you just have to like hard refresh it. But there's our quote. Quotes are really easy with Markdown. Cool, right? So we can do quotes. You can also dump limited amounts of HTML in there. I don't recommend that, but you can if you really need to. And you can do includes, which maybe we'll cover includes today. Let's see, I'm making sure that I'm up live everywhere. Okay, cool. Sometimes I got to check that stuff. So we need to, let's see, we have our content page. It looks like the content page is actually, yeah. So I could do something like, well, let's go into that single layout. There it is, single.html. Now, as you can see here with our templating, we have define main, div class of post. We've got an H1 title, date, time format, and then the content itself. What if we want to put something at the bottom of every single page, but we don't necessarily want it a part of the footer? Still pretty easy. Let's put a horizontal rule, and I'll say, please follow me on Twitter. See what that looks like. There it is, at the bottom of every page. Should probably delineate it a little bit better, right? Make it italic. I like to put yell at me on my personal blog, but there we go. Please follow me on Twitter. And if I go here to any other article, which of course I can't do, but we'll go to a Python article. Please follow me on Twitter. It's gonna be at the bottom of every single article, which is great, right? So what is, oh, we needed to do these list pages, these indexes here, because when I click on C#, I should have some kind of listing there. So let's figure out how to do that. Our friend list.html. And I'm going to grab a list.html out of another blog that I've recently built. And I'll use that for notes rather than stumble around with it. Let's see, themes. I thought I had a list HTML in here somewhere. I do. Okay, so in here we have the define main again. Now once you put this in here, you put an end tag, then you can put something like, this is a list. So at least now we have something, right? It's not just a blank page. Once you include that main, then you pull in your header and footer and all that stuff. So now we have, this is a list. Cool. We want to list all of our articles. So pulling from my other one here, find it. I will just probably dump this in the way it looks, because this is a lot of code that I spent hours building out. So rather than do that here, maybe not hours, but significant amount of time building it out. And I'll pull these out. Now where is this an end for? Here's a quick way to check if your ends are any good. There we go. So here's a list of our C# articles. Let's go back in here. We got define main. And in here, we have .type. And .type is going to show us C#. Because we know that anything /C# is a C# type. Go to Golang, we get Golang. Go to PHP, we get nothing. I don't think I did any PHP articles. And then Python. And it's humanized, so we're stripping out any kind of HTML, anything silly like that. We're piping it out to humanize. We could also pipe it to title case, which I believe is just title. And that's going to break it. Oh, it did break it. Title not defined. It's lowercase title. So now we have C# title case. And we could put something in here like, we could just copy this type exactly as it looks. And come down here and say, this is a listing of our articles. Let's make it a P. Wrap it with paragraph tags here. This is a listing of our C# articles. It's a listing of our Golang articles. So it's all templated out really nice. I don't know why there's a huge bunch of space right here. You know, as I look at that, it looks like it's because it's a column. Oh yeah, there we go. That's why there's row and then column. Probably just yank all this stuff out for right now. Yank out this class. Yank out this article item. And so what we're doing here is last year, scratch get last year, which I don't think I actually put that in there. No, I did not. So I've got to set my date format, and then we need to create something called scratch is like a variable space that you can use for just temporary storage space in Hugo. So we'll say ranges, date equals date year, scratch get last year. If the year is not equal, that's what NE stands for, last year, then it's going to be this year's stuff. And then we set our scratched last year to current year. So if we have multiple years, which let's just fake that really quick. We'll say this one's 2021. This one was written in 2020. And then this one was written in 2019. What does it look like now? It's not formatted super well. So let's go back in and change that formatting a little bit. There it is, list HTML. So, if it's not equal to last year, let's make this an H2. Start. And what we're doing is we're going through range, so we're using range again, just like you would in Go, and ranging through all of the pages, which should be these 3 articles right here. These should all be in this pages variable that comes from the type that we're at, which is C#. Okay, so now we've got some bigger stuff there. So we've got one from 2021, one from 2020, one from 2019. And now I'm trying to figure out why it's not showing the 2021 article. But we'll format this out, and then we'll figure that out. So last year, humanized title, that says C#. This is a listing of our C# articles. Then we start ranging through the pages. Year equals date year. Last year equals scratch get last year. It'll have nothing in it unless I set it right here. It will have nothing in it. So if it's not equal to last year, we'll display it as an H2. And let's see, I'll remove that. We'll just markdownify this whole thing. If draft in. Oh, this basically just that's right. This is okay. So this is replacing. So instead of replacing, we're just going to drop title in there. We're going to make it title case and then pass it to Markdownify. Okay, getting a little closer. And then we've got this italicized date by each one, and we're still having some issues with line returns, and I think that's because of these divs that I left in here. I think this is what's blowing it all out of proportion. Yep. Perfect. So now we have 2020, 2019. So we need an else in here because it should be displaying this year's. So what happens when I drop the year in there? It does think the year is 2020, does it not? Year equals date year. Last year should be 2020. So that's a little interesting. I've never seen that before. Where it thinks date year is 2020 instead of last year. One thing, well, that's why it's not coming up. It was set to a draft. Perfect. Okay, my mistake. So we'll pull that year out of there. Now this should look great. There we go. We'll have each one by year, and it's descending order. So we have C# data structures in 2021. C# is awesome in 2020, and Entity Framework. So one C# article a year, this is what it would look like. If we go to Golang, it's only going to have 1 year. Same with Python. Yeah. So now we've got our little list pages. This makes it a lot easier. If somebody comes here and they're like, oh, I see you have all of these 3 things, that's the first thing they're going to click on. Like, oh, I'm just here for the Golang. I don't care about anything else. And they'll click on it and they're like, oh, there's the Golang is awesome article. Let's add a little meat to that. Whoops, accidentally opened that. Golang is awesome. Again, we'll grab the Lipsum. And there's our Golang Awesome page with follow me on Twitter. So this is pretty much how to start doing your own theme. I'm trying to think of what else I could add in here. Got our home page, and this is index. And notice index doesn't have the follow me at Twitter thing that we have here. But we do once we go into a list, go into an article, or I mean, not a list, but when we go into an article, there's the please follow me on Twitter. And then we still have a header down here also. So what else could we do with this that would be kind of fun? I think my Entity Framework article was the most interesting. So when here, one of the things you can do is start using media queries, because if we shrink this up, it's going to change. And I mean, that's not too terribly bad, but can always be better. So what else can we add in here? Oh, I'm going to add in. So here's one of the things that I want to do. Let's see. This is also in jeremymorgan.tech. God, I was using Visual Studio Code for a while there. So in here, let's create a folder. And I'm going to call this, actually, I'll just use a Scratch folder. That's fine. Assets Bootstrap, index HTML. I think we can safely get rid of all this stuff now. We'll see if the site crashes, right? Nope. And then I'm going to grab some stuff here. We'll see if I can cobble this together. One of my repos. I had a list of YouTube links. My repos folders get out of control sometimes. There it is. Is it video list? Yes, video list CSV. So I did a poll against YouTube API, grabbed a bunch of my YouTube videos, and what I want to do is create articles for each one of these. So that's going to be fun, right? Now, how can we do that? We are going to first create some partials. So in my themes, under layouts, and partials, I'm just going to create a folder that says YouTube. And in here, we're going to create some partials. That way I can embed YouTube videos on the page. Let's close a bunch of these. I'm sorry if my voice is a little hoarse today. I'm still getting over being sick. That's why I'm a little low energy, crappy voice, but I've just got to keep going, you know? Okay, so in partials, where is YouTube? Did I not create that? Within YouTube, I need to make a partial for one of these. Actually, we'll just do it right based on this stream. So, what should I name it is the question. Probably just going to name it by the video. So, new file. We're going to call this blah, blah, blah.htm. And within here, I'm going to jump to YouTube. Find that video. Okay. So this is the video from one of my previous live streams. Just use that video ID, and what I'm going to do now is go to Share and select Embed. And here, just going to copy all of this code. I'm going to drop this embed in here. YouTube video player, and you can, if it makes it easier to look at, you can break these lines up. This is my iframe, and of course this code matches this. So that's what I'll copy here. The title of this video is Let's Do Some Jamstack Setting Up a Brand New Hugo Site. So I'll create a live folder in content. Just going to name this live, and this is going to have my live YouTube videos in it. Go back here, cancel out, and do Hugo new content live. I already forgot what that title was. Setting up brand new Hugo site. So I'll say setting dash up dash Hugo.md. We'll fire up the server again. Now we have a new Hugo thing, and I'll change the title. Live. Setting up Hugo from scratch. We're going to make our draft false. And now I need to grab that video URL again, or that. And then I need to find the include code. I think I've already forgotten how to do that. And what this is we're going to include some partials. So I'll kind of show you how partials work in a very nice way. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So, just to recap so I can kind of explain, because I'm probably going a little bit too fast here. I've set up a partial, and what partials are is they're just snippets of HTML. So if you want to put pure HTML into your Markdown, this is how you do it with Hugo. It seems a little complicated at first, but it's actually very easy. This is probably the easiest way to embed YouTube videos into your articles. So we'll take this code here. It says partial. And then I need to put in the path, which in our case is YouTube. And I don't remember if it's front slash or backslash. I think it's backslash. We will find out as soon as I save this which one it is. And then we have the video ID.htm. Front slash. Oops, keep jumping back to the wrong editor. That didn't work either. Template for short code not found. Do I need a partial.htm? I'm going to check my other site here. Because I don't remember that being a thing, but it might be a thing. Doesn't appear. Oh, yeah, we do need it in short codes. So, I missed a step there. So we've created the HTML code. This is self-standing, just HTML. Any HTML that's in here will be included on here. You obviously don't need things like head tags, body tags, anything like that. It's just straight HTML for this iframe. And then we need to create, within layouts, we need to create a folder named shortcodes. That way, Hugo knows how to handle this particular one. Partial.html? I think it's HTML. And then in here, I just have a template tag that says partial. That's the name of it. That's the name of the file. Get 0. So it's just going to get whatever's passed in. This is a parameter. And it's just going to get whatever's passed in past that partial, which we are passing in for item 0, just this file name. Let's see if this works. I think I crashed the entire Hugo server. It's not hard to do. Live, setting up Hugo from scratch. And there we go. There's our partial. Hit play, blah, blah, blah. Great, right? So, one of the things I would like to do is let's further format this a little bit. I've got an image here, geeking out with Jeremy. And so as we load up through here, we will have that open graph image. There's our title, OG image, etc. So how can I automate this? That's the good question. How can I take all my live stuff and automate this? Let's see, I need to put in a title here. Our title is, that's description. Here's a title. And did that already get populated? Yeah, it already gets populated. So we'll just go straight to description. We'll put a little description in there. Oh, I did that somewhere else, didn't I? I'm not sure why that does not show it. Draft false. Test something? Test shows up, but not my p tag, so obviously I've got something going on here. Perfect. Then I've got my Restream.io link here, and this is going to be the title and description and YouTube video. Let's go in here to our Scratch folder again. And I'm going to copy this thing. It's YouTube data. I believe that was video list CSV. Copy that into my Scratch. Oops, I can't paste that. Where is this repo at? There it is. So in my Scratch folder, I'm going to put a videolist.csv. So we can go through and hopefully extract some of this data. I shall do that with, let's say, Go. Readlist.go. I haven't done Go in here for a while, so I might see a big stream of messages. So, in here, we'll do. This would be just as easy with Python, C#, whatever. I know I'm going to need buff.io. You need OS. I'm going to need maybe FMT. Strings. One thing I hate about Visual Studio Code, when you hit save, it rips all that stuff out of there if it's not being used. So we need to use that. Error. OS open. We're going to open video list. CSV. And then if error is not nil. So I'd like to give a huge shout out here really quick to Tab 9. So I'm using Tab 9 Pro right now, and that's how, and Tab 9 has watched how I write code. So they watch that kind of metadata about how you're writing code. and it watches how you write code, and then as you start to write, it will auto-suggest based on things you do. Obviously, I've written this exact type of code, so it knows, like, if, you can see right there, if error is not nil, tab 9. It's seen me do this before, so it just plugs it right in there. And then if it's nil, I'll and I hit save again and totally removed it, but that's okay. I'll put it in as needed. Add in my packages. We want to defer our file close. Again, tab 9 just recognizes all this stuff. Then we're going to create a new scanner. Look at that. Buff.io new scanner file. Tab 9 knows what I'm going to do with this. And I bet if I type in 4, oh, look at that. There's a 4 scanner scan. Very cool, right? So as we're scanning this file, could just do FMT print line scanner.txt. That needs to be capitalized. Let's try running this thing. Boom, there we go. Now we're reading the file. Perfect. So, I've got to remember how to extract. Let's see, let's throw an error in here for the scanner because I'm going to generate one. So if we get a scanner error, which we probably will, we'll just print it out. All right, now we'll check something else here. All I really need out of here is like 3 different fields, I think. We'd like the video, title, and description. So, probably just do that. Let's see. Maybe make a new CSV out of that. We'll see. I think I actually want to use a CSV library for this. I think it might be a little bit cleaner. I just had a bunch of books drop for some reason over there. Let's look at, I'm going to look through some of my other older code here. And see how I've done this before. That was smart. Yeah, I think we'll do that really quick. Let's see. Now I'm just digging through some of my silly old code from the past to see the really good ways I've done this. That's JSON marshalling. This isn't really JSON, so That probably won't work. Remember dropping that into a range. That might be a decent way to do it. Got so many silly buffers in here. I think I can split this. By the way, none of this is part of the Hugo stuff. So I've completed the part of the stream where I said I was going to modify the theme and make a working theme. We're already past that. Now I'm doing something else. Now I'm going to see if I can automate some content as it goes in there. Probably should have specified that we're well beyond the normal Hugo stuff at this point. See, how long have I been streaming for? Okay, perfect. Not very long. So if scanner split. I'm going to snag some other code that I've written before, doing something different. It's probably been almost a year since I've really scanned a CSV file with Go. And I did a lot of interesting things with some of this. How do I index this? There's a good question. Because I think I could probably explode this and index it and be done. That's what I was kind of thinking doing here. So I'm back on my GitHub again. Ooh, that was pretty cool. I'll have to do a stream about that particular one. So just do a search for Go. Oh, last log. I wrote that thing like 5 years ago. See if this does what I want it to. Nope, that's a SQL parser. This could work. Oh yeah, and this one I did just do a split, a string split. Why didn't I think of that? One of the problems with writing things in tons of different languages, I've had my head in Python for like 3 months and then doing a lot of C# stuff. So now jumping back to Go, brain starts getting kind of jumbled, you know, like, how am I supposed to do this? But now I remember. Line scanner.text. And then items is line, let's see, strings, split, line, We're going to split that by commas. So theoretically, oh, nice. Thanks for adding that in. We need to instantiate new, and then I should be able to print F, one of my favorites. Let's see, ID is, make that a string, comma, items. It's not item 0. Looks like it is item 2. Ideally, this should just spit out a list of IDs for my YouTube stuff. Just like that. ID is... Let's throw some comments in here. We need video ID. We need title. Description. So we know the video ID is at the index of 2. That's great. Title looks like index 4, and then description's 5. So what we're just going to do is just for display purposes. Say items 2, 4, and 5. Items 5. Save it. Exactly what I'm looking for. And here we'll put 2 line breaks after description so that it formats it even better. Perfect. So we have ID with ID, title, etc. Of course, these are very literal, so it put those spaces there between the ID. So I'll just crunch all of these together, even though this is just for looks. So one thing we could do is we could make a videos folder and then generate, we could make a videos folder, generate some markdown for it. Instead of live, we'll call this videos. We could generate some markdown for it, and we could generate some partials for it, and just bring all of these videos in here. Really ambitious a little bit, but I think it'll work. I think I'm ready to give it a try. So to do that, we need to talk about what a markdown file looks like. And this will be a set of comments again. We can go back to our setting up Hugo, and we could just copy this whole thing right here. Not really worried about the dates just yet, though we could just throw in the dates from this, even though, yeah, they look about the same. Maybe I could just throw those dates in there and see if that works. I have no idea. This is actually all very experimental at this point. I could completely fall on my face with this experiment, but then we learn together. Cool. So So this is what a Markdown file needs to look like. So what we can do, we can just create something called temp Markdown. And in there, in temp Markdown, we will put all of this junk. We'll do 3 slashes. We'll do carriage return. Then we'll say title, colon. And then in here, this is where we'll put that string for the title. And then we'll do another \n. And actually, for the title, I think we may want to go pretty literal with this. Or we can explode it. 'Cause I think I want the actual title to be surrounded with quotes. Then we'll do that. And so we do carriage return, then we need a date. We are going to just try to cram in the date from there. So for that, we're going to also just pass it as string. In, then we need draft equals false. We're just going to set them all to false. It doesn't really matter. And then, yeah, let's do an OG image. Equals %string. Then we do /n for another carriage return. 3 little dots, /n, /n. Now this is where the content will actually go. So we need another %s for the content, which the content is going to be the description. But then we also need to create that partial. So I need to do the description and the partial. So we'll do %s, n, %s. This looks very cryptic. Like I said, this is not standard Hugo stuff. So I feel like I have to say this again, especially since there's only a few people watching right now, but I get the replays like crazy on YouTube and stuff. None of this is normal part of Hugo stuff. I'm basically going outside the Hugo ecosystem to generate a set of Hugo articles out of a CSV file. So if you're wanting to set up a Jamstack site and build it, this is not something you need to know by any means. I'd say 99% of people wouldn't do anything like this. I just don't want to create all these YouTube videos by hand, so I'm finding a way to automate it. Now we've got temp Markdown equals. So I put these little %s's in here as like placeholders for index or items. That's right. I don't know why I said index. Items 2. So the title is items 4. There's our title. Next one is the date, and I believe that is 5. No, 3. It's the one before the title. So we're just going to say date plus items 3 plus, and we'll just go right back into the next one. And we've got /n OG image space plus items, which one was OG image? Looks like 7. Index 7. Then we've got 2 more here. Now we've got, let's see, title, date, description. I don't think I made room for description in here, did I? But I just remembered that we do want a description. So after the OG image, do %n, we do want a description field. Plus items, which one is the description? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's number 5. So descriptions is item 5, and we're going to put it in description, and we're going to put it in the main body of the file also. So we can just go right here, plus items 5 again. So this is getting pretty ridiculously long, right? But we're almost done. Then we do a backslash plus. Oh, now we gotta get fancy. So now we need to include this partial code. However, all we're going to do is take the ID and we're going to insert the ID into that HTM, and we're just going to name each of those HTMs after the ID. So it's not that fancy. We'll escape these quotes. Now we can insert this, and we'll just take this. Boom. Items 2. Cool. Now this should generate some sweet Markdown for us. Let's find out. Print temp Markdown. We'll run it. Cool. Let's just really look at what this looks like. Description, multi-streaming with stream.io. That's crap. And I forgot to add in a return here. There's our little new line. Okay, now this looks like, looks a little more like it should, even though I'm seeing a very weird. Is that just the prompt? I think that's just the prompt that I'm seeing there. Yeah. So each of these, like this, we have Electro Voice versus Rode Podcaster. We've got our OG image. We've got description I compare to Follow Me on YouTube. Partial. And I'm still printing these out, which is part of what makes this a little confusing, right? So clear. Now it's a little less confusing. Now we have how to install Golang. Jaro, set it up on YouTube. This looks like it should. Cool. Now I have to remember how I've done these writing things here. Just gonna steal some random code here for doing this. We'll write this Markdown to a file. FIO, new writer. We need to come up with a file name. Then we info error. I know I have some. Something somewhere where I'm doing a quick file, right? I thought right string. I would like to thank Harris Heller for the cool streaming tunes that he allows folks to use for free. Remember that Harris Heller and his company actually make money every time you stream off of here. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of this very generous thing he's done, where he's created a bunch of set of songs that you can have playing on your stream without having to worry about getting copyright strikes and things like that. It's good music, and it helps him out, helps him and his company out. So highly recommend it. Now I'm going to see if I can find some code here. I'm just going to call this mark out. We're not going to check for errors. We're just going to roll with it. Actually, we'll check for that. We're probably going to need that, so. That'll be good for now. So, let's see. Error equals. Yeah, we'll do OS create. We're just going to create a temporary file name here. And where did we decide we're going to put this? Videos? And that's another problem, is I gotta make a good title for this. For now, we'll just do it based on the ID, which we had decided was items 2. Perfect. And this just counts the amount of bytes. I don't know if we need that, but we'll just put it anyway. All right, let's run this and see what it does. See if it blows up on us. Go into videos. I don't see anything in videos. So I think I did the OS create wrong. Look at my notes here. Okay, so first we need to create this. So actually I'm going to call this F because I don't think I have F open, right? Yeah. So we're going to say F, this, OS create, videos, items, whatever.html. Throw a little error checking in there. Error, print error. We want to defer this close also. And we should be able to do fwrite string, temp markdown, print row, whatever. See if it still says wrote 0 bytes. Yeah, doesn't like that. Doesn't like that. I have a feeling it might be writing this somewhere else. I think, oh, one thing I'm not doing here. What on earth is it printing out there? Okay, we're clearly getting an error. We'll just do panic with the I think it might be this one here. That's if we have a scanner. Which is what I imagine this might be. Maybe not. So we have content, videos. There we go. File creation error. Let's see if I can look through my old code here that I'm pulling this from. I'm just going to make it panic on all of these anyway. Let's do panic and dump the error. Videos, video.html. Why would it be video.html? Oh, because we're that first line of the file. That's right, we're going to pull that out. Forgot I'm supposed to skip that first line. Okay, now let's see. Open videos, so it's not creating any of these video files. Look this up and see what I'm doing wrong. It's been a while. So I've got to create. This should create. Of course, I'm in Scratch. Perhaps that is a problem. That was the problem. So now it's creating each of these. Here, let's see what it looks like. Ta-da! We have ourselves some Markdown, which will not run at all, by the way, right now. Our Hugo server, you can see, will crash pretty quick. And it's crashing on line 3 in the date. Need to put a space there. Thank you, Hugo, for checking me. Description, where was it? Date, space. Now let's run this again. So this starts with the very first one, probably. Oh, and I'm creating HTML files. I do not want to be creating HTML files. These should be Markdown, but we are going to create HTML files. But these should be Markdown. I'll run this again. See if Hugo reacts to this one now. Oh, so for OG image, for some of them it just says default. Oh, I bet I know what I'm doing. Yep, not putting that that quote on there, so it's just kind of in this video, I need to put another quote around that, otherwise it's breaking the indexing for it. So description. If I'm going to have a description or quote on one side, I've got to have a quote on the other. So I do believe we have title, date, description. Maybe that's coming out of the items. It doesn't appear that I have quotes. Let's just wrap it all in quotes anyway. Let's see what this looks like. So we definitely need quotes on both sides. There we go, like that. And we don't want quotes on this one. So we might be closer to starting up now. Ooh, it dropped in 2 quotes. What can I do with that? Let's see. Check this original data. I think I'm gonna have the strings replaced and just remove quotes from the description. Not index, it's items. Yeah, I should be able to use single quotes in here. Why doesn't it like that? Illegal rune literal syntax. So now I'm gonna have to escape that. Still doesn't like my syntax. Oh. Yeah. Try running this again. Still getting that little thing right there. So let's delete all the markdown files again. Whoop. Let's take a good hard look at this. We want to replace weird that I haven't used this for so long. I think it's -1 here. Try this again. We'll just rip all those quotes out of there for now. We don't really care that much. Just kind of want this to be functional. So we still have a quote here that we need to get rid of. So we'll just repeat that same thing, but other than that, this looks like pretty clean Markdown files that we're generating here. So let's add in same replace. We'll do that exact same replace on this one. Now we've got some Markdown. Heck yeah. So now we need to do the second part of this, which is creating those partials. So to step back a little bit and make sure I don't have any questions in the chat before I start babbling. And it doesn't look like it. So I've showed how to do a partial where you take straight HTML, then you include it in here as a partial in your Markdown file. So now, as you can see, each of these is calling one of these files that should be in this, gosh, that's going to be in partial, so we'll have to go to layouts, or not layouts, themes. So I got to go to themes, Jeremy Morgan, layouts, partials, YouTube. And it expects all of these in here. So now I have to generate some HTML files that are going to drop into this YouTube folder. So it should be pretty cool. We can do that. Basically, we're automating the heck out of this. Okay. So let's go back and create this. Now, in here, we have a long path. So we need to make sure we're doing this properly. Themes. I called this Jeremy Morgan, layouts, partials, YouTube. That's our path right there. So I'll copy that, because this is going to be the new file that we create. Go back into our read list. This file will be a little easier to create, but we're just going to go and basically redo this whole thing. But we're going to call this F2 and be really creative. We're going to say OS create YouTube. And then we'll say plus items 2. This time we want HTML. So now we're going to create an F2 and we're going to create that HTML file. So we'll do the same thing here. If error nil, we'll just panic. Drop it. We're going to defer it. Close. Okay, now HTML out. F2, write string, and as you can see, oh, we need temp HTML, don't we? So we'll demarcate this a little bit here. Say temp HTML, and for now it's going to be nothing. Temp HTML. So we're going to write this string temp HTML. We'll panic off of that if that doesn't work. And then I think that's pretty much it. So the HTML out. We will say, we'll do the same thing here as we did last time. We'll just throw an else statement in here. Else printf wrote bytes of HTML out. We'll put bytes of HTML and a little backslash there. Markdown. Now we're starting to get a little more serious here. This code's getting a little bit bigger, and like I said, this is nothing you'll probably ever have to do with Hugo, but I've pushed Hugo to its absolute limits quite frequently in this year, and this is one of the things that I enjoy doing is manually, or instead of manually creating all of those pages, I want to automatically do it. So for temp HTML, we need this to be this. So we can just copy and go back to our little Go file. Put escape codes in all of this. We'll be able to see here pretty quick when we have escaped everything properly. I'm just gonna make this a single line of code in this string here. Cool. Oh, that wouldn't work. So now we've got our iframe code here. Now, of course, we want to create a file based on that items2, but this items2 is also what we need to put in our iframe code right here so that we're generating the right iframe for the right video. So here, we'll do this, plus items2, plus, boom. And I think this is gonna work. Now, for those of you who are diehard Go programmers, you would probably look at this and think it's just a big mess and it's ridiculous, but it's getting the job done right now. Like if I were going to release this or something I was going to use every day, I would clean it up a lot, but this is fine. So here in my Scratch, and I'm going to clear it. That way I can get a good view of the error messages and go run readlist.go. Zoop. Oh, and look at that. So 2KY, 9FYT, blah, blah, blah is up here. I think this is going to work. This HTML, I'm not sure what this was. I'm just going to delete it. We don't need that one, but it looks like all of these other videos have been populated. And so you see the reason I'm doing this, because I don't want to go in by hand and create every single one of these HTML files with this code in it. That's just silly. So instead I take 20 minutes, stumble through this Go program, and now I've got all these files, and I got to get rid of this one. Move to trash. And yeah, I actually think that we might be able to start up a Hugo server again. Oh, it does not like something here. So let's clear it again so we can get a good view. Error building, looks like that first one it touches probably. Oh, that's weird. So it really screwed up the OG image part of it. That is quite the bug. So I wonder, Camtasia, let's look at that particular one, 08 something. Maybe it didn't make it quite a ways down the list, I don't know. Oh, and some of these don't even have, some of these don't even have the little ID in them that we need. So I'll have to delete that if I don't have it. And looks like live coding, This one was also, yeah, this has got to go. Delete row. Actually, I'm not even modifying the right one. Cancel. We'll get out of here real quick. We don't care. We're going to edit the actual one that we're working with, right? So let's jump in here to Scratch. Video list CSV. This is what I should be looking for. Now, this one, live coding, does not have a video ID, and neither does this one. So we'll just remove both of these. Now, this should work a little bit better. And I'm going to go through, now I have to clear it in 2 different places. So I've got to clear out all my Markdown. No more Markdown. And then I need to clear out all my HTML partials. Boom. Now we'll run it again, see what it looks like. No, that was at 08 something. Still kind of screws up on that OG image part. So let's take a look. So this one's why I use OBS to record webcam video. That's what that one is. Why I use OBS to record webcam video. Default, and it has the OG image. So I think the quotes are screwing this up. So maybe I should have used a real CSV parser. Because it would appear that the quotes kind of mess it up. See if there's something I'm missing here that I can change. I'm going through items. Yeah, it's just splitting by probably not the best way. We will try something else here. I could just rob this code from Stack Overflow. That probably does it a little bit better. Using a CSV reader. And iterating through that. Which, instead of the scanner scan, to Python commenting if you didn't notice. So here we'll do a CSV file open. Actually, this is an OS open. Yeah, that'll work. File. And then we'll just do a CSV reader on this one. So reader equals CSV dot new reader of our file. Having a good clean CSV file is pretty important too. I didn't take the time to do that. Let's see, iterate through the records. This is just a for loop, and we break at the end of the file. Interesting. So for items, where we're up here, items string split, instead we're going to do items error, and we're just going to grab that reader. Reader.read. Then if end of file, we'll break it. Then I'm going to take everything I wrote down here. We can pretty much get rid of all this. Take everything from here, temp markdown, all the way to here, cut it. And instead I'm going to put all of that, and we'll get rid of that scanner error. We don't need that anymore. I'm just going to put everything in here now. We don't need that buff.io scanner. Reader compiler. So we got encoding CSV. West. Just name this R. And we'll say r.read. Oh. Duh. Okay. There we go. So now that I've instantiated it properly, now let's see if this reads the CSV a little bit better than how I was doing it before, where I was splitting lines. Once again, I'll delete all of this markdown. All of this HTML. And we'll run it again. Exploded. Index out of range with length 0. So most of these worked. And then it hit one with length 0. Who knows what that one was. But in the effort of saving time, this one looks at least a little bit better. So that could have purely been off of that single error one. Okay, this will probably tell us right where the error is. It looks like that 08 video again. Interesting that this one is blowing it up again. It says it could not find the proper HTML for it. Oh, because I'm generating HTML instead of HTML. Why would I do that? Is my markdown where I'm specifying that? Right there. So that is an error on my fault there. Let's see. Now we'll run it again. Same problem, but I bet these are now, yeah, these are now HTML. So let's start firing it up again. So now I'm just kind of running the Hugo server and trying to find where the problems are coming from. This one is now live setting up Hugo. That's the one that I created earlier. That one actually does not exist anymore. So we'll just move it to trash. That's where that program or that problem is coming from. Now we have some running files. So let's see what it looks like. We should have a bunch of live videos. So actually now I'm going to remove all these C# ones out of here. I'm going to remove, actually I guess I don't have to remove them out of there. These are using the actual dates. That's pretty cool. So how do I compare two strings in Go? Here I show you 3 different ways to compare 2 strings in Go and run benchmarks to see which is the fastest. Hacker Noon AMA happening now. This is where I did a AMA for Hacker Noon. And what we've done is just basically created an automated way to fill these up. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this down at half an hour. Check the chat, make sure I don't have any questions. If I can find it. Okay, don't seem to have any questions in chat. That's good. Fine. None. So, just to sum up what we did today. So this one is going to be, I think, the last Jamstack one for a while. Maybe I'll cover porting this off to Netlify. I did promise to do that on the live stream, but port this off to Netlify, things like that. But let's talk about what we've covered in the last week on the stream. We've covered setting up a Hugo site from scratch, which was super easy, super fun. Then we pulled in a few themes that we downloaded. Then we created a new theme from scratch, just a brand new theme. That's the one you're looking at right now on the screen. And then today we kind of finished up on that. We finished the theme up, making it functional based on all of these little listings. We made the page listings list the way we want. So now we've got a working theme. And then I went totally off the rails and decided to pull in some data from my YouTube API to automatically generate 30 or so Hugo articles for this thing. Like I said, that very last part is not something you ever really will have to do with Hugo. Generally with Hugo, you'll have to do exactly what we did on this stream several times, right? At Hugo new, file name, create a new article, write the article, publish it. Yay, everything's awesome. Make it turn draft into false and commit it and push it out. That's usually what you have to do. You hardly ever have to write a Go application that reads a CSV file and generates Markdown and HTML for that. But I did want to show how that works if you want to do something like that. And I wanted to show how the partial system works. So you take these little partials and they're just HTML, scripts, basically just chunks of HTML, and you include them in partials. And you can reuse them all over the place. If I wanted to put the silly seagulls video on 10 different pages, I could do that with partials. I could put it at the bottom of every single page. So right here where it says, please follow me on Twitter, we could do a partial there. It's very cool. So moving forward, I do have some other stuff that I want to do on live stream. That's not the Jamstack stuff. So moving forward, I am going to do some different stuff on stream that I've got lined up. I want to do some Blazor stuff. some more Go stuff, and some computer vision. I've got a bunch of different ideas. But for this Jamstack stuff, I think what I'm going to do is, so a lot of it during the live sessions has been just really kind of all over the place, right? And that's partially because I've just turned this on and started typing and going. I do want to sit down and make some structure and create a set of YouTube videos that are much more structured, much more concise, where it's just like, here's how to install Hugo. Here's how to create a new Hugo page. Here's how to create a new template. Here's how to create a theme, etc. I'm going to do those. I promise you I will get those videos up on YouTube. And when I'm doing that, I'll be able to put more post-production in there, so it's shorter, right? It should be 5 to 10 minutes each video. Should be shorter, more concise, more produced, and I'll have a little bit more time to sit and think about it than I do live. So this is part of my strategy that I'm trying to do, is I'm going live to show people the mistakes, show people the learning, the stumbling, and talk back and forth on chat, because I, just kind of want to create a community around that. But another part of my personal strategy is putting well thought out, produced things on YouTube that can be used for lookups as well. So those two things are coming for the Jamstack stuff. I'm going to continue to put up some Hugo stuff. I've done so much crazy stuff with Hugo. So I spent a couple months building a blog. That blog is going to be live very soon. I'll tell you all about it. But I did some really just kind of out of the way things with Hugo. So I've created a template. I took a design, just an HTML page from a design firm that looked really nice, and I chopped that up and made this really intricate template out of it. Did a lot of really extensive template things with Hugo. I did a lot of generation like this with Python, where I was scraping pages, transforming them, turning them into Markdown, putting them up there. And I'm going to take all that knowledge that's sitting up in my head and make YouTube videos out of it. So it's going to be fun. But I think all of that knowledge, instead of spreading it out over like a month of streaming, I could probably cram it into an hour or two of concise, targeted YouTube videos, and I'm going to do that. As far as my live streams go, they're going to be scattered and all over the place, and I've got some more planned. One of my goals moving forward is going to be, I'm going to try to stream at least a couple times a week. Some weeks it might be once. Some weeks it might be 5 times. I don't know. I've got a lot of ideas, so I want to share those ideas. I love streaming live. Right now, I'm not getting a ton of traffic from each stream while it's live, but I'm getting a lot of replays, and I'm getting a lot of emails based on those replays, and so it's worth doing for me. So if you're not subscribed to me on Twitch, subscribe on Twitch. That's where most of this stuff is going to happen. Right now, I'm streaming to YouTube Live, where it's getting more views right now on YouTube Live than it is on Twitch. But I'm going to be really focusing in on Twitch for the community aspect of that. And I'm going to be focusing on the Twitch Pluralsight channel also. So if you're not subscribed to me on Twitch, subscribe. That's why I got the big giant banner down there today. Go ahead and add me, subscribe. I will follow you back if you're doing streaming. Maybe, who knows? But anyway, thank you very much for coming to my stream. I'm out of here. Gonna go have some dinner and relax. But thank you everybody for jumping on and finishing up this theme here. I'm actually going to put this jeremymorgan.tech up at some point. I'm not gonna really focus on it or put a ton of energy into it, but it was just kind of a neat thing. I thought I'd buy the .tech and play with it. So here it is. It's a Hugo site right now. Anyway, again, thank you everybody for coming to my stream. I appreciate it.